Chapter 5, Lesson 3, Inequalities. An inequality is a mathematical sentence that compares quantities that are not equal. So it's just like an equation, but instead of having an equal sign and the two sides are equal, we'll see a different symbol and the two sides are not equal to each other. So let's take a look at those symbols. So the first symbol that we're going to look at is our less than symbol. And some phrases that we can show that we are talking about less than is, it might just say, is less than, or we might also see, is fewer than. All right, our next symbol is our greater than symbol. And we might see something that says more than, or exceeds, or it might just say something is greater than something else. And our other two symbols are less than or equal to, and we might describe that by saying it is no more than, and we also might say is at most. So if we talk about something that it's at most 20, then it needs to be less than or equal to 20. And our last symbol is our greater than or equal to. And we might see things that say it is no less than. If it's no less than 20, then 20 would be the lowest, or it might be bigger than 20, or at least means that it has to be that number, but it also might be bigger. So let's look at some examples. If we say you must be at least 18 years old to vote, so we'll use an A. Your age must be greater than or equal to 18. Okay, our next example, you must be at least 40 inches tall to ride the roller coaster. So your height must be greater than or equal to 40. Okay, the dog weighs less than 50 pounds, so the dog is less than 50. It cannot be equal, it must be less than 50. Okay, now we also talk about graphing inequalities because it doesn't just represent one number. So when we graph inequalities, the first thing we do is we make a number line. Okay, the second thing is that we put the number that our variable is greater than or less than on the line. All right, it's the only number that we need to have on our number line. And then we put a dot on our number line, and we are very specific. We put a dot and we color it in if it is greater than or equal or less than or equal. And we put an open circle if it is greater than or less than. And then we put an arrow to show if the variable can be bigger or smaller. Okay, so let's do some examples. Let's say we have A is greater than 6. First thing I do is draw a number line. Then I'm going to put that number. I'm just going to put a 6 on my number line. Then I'm going to put my dot. Well, it cannot be equal to 6, so I'm going to put an open circle. And it says A is greater than 6, so it can be anything that is over here on the right side of 6. So it can be 7, it can be 6.5, it can be 6.01, it can be 25, anything that's bigger than 6. Okay, let's look at the next example. X is less than or equal to -1. Put my number line. All I need is a -1. I'm going to put this time a filled in circle because X can equal -1. And it tells me that X is less than or equal to -1. So it's anything over here to the left of -1. Okay, and then the last one, we say -7 is less than X. So I put my number line. I put a -7 on it. I put an open circle. Now I have to be careful because if -7 is smaller than X, then that means that X must be something bigger than -7. I can rewrite this if I prefer with the X on the left side and change the symbol to show that X is greater than -7, and that might help me to graph it easier. Okay, you're always welcome to change it, change the sides of these two, as long as I change my inequality symbol as well.